Hey everyone, today we'll be doing a very basic example using embedded Rust, and we'll be utilizing the Embassy Async framework. So Embassy is a modern embedded framework using Rust and Async, and the board that we'll be using is Seeed Studio's XIAO BLE, and it has NRF 52840 chip by Nordic Semiconductor. So let's have a look at the mapping between the board and the chip. So if we look at this table, the first column is the XIAO pin, and the third column is the chip pin. And if we just scroll at the bottom, we see that the red LED is pin 26, the blue is at pin 6, and the green is at pin 30. So we have to keep this in mind. All right, now let's go back to the editor. So this is classic Rust. We're basically saying that we don't want to use any standard library because we don't have an operating system. And then we don't want to use any main. We don't want to use the default main function, and we'll let Embassy take care of this using its own entry point. So next I'll bring in a few dependencies. So we are using info macro from D format. So this is super fast logging over RTT. And next we have spawner. So we'll be passing it as an argument to the main function. And then we have a few things to interact with our GPIO. And then we have a timer so that we can add a delay to our program. And then we have these underscore imports for logging backend and a panic handler. So now let's start with the entry point for our Embassy program. So this is how we define it using Embassy executor and main. So now you can see that we are already getting an error that the argument spawner is missing. So let's add that. In this video, we'll not be using spawner, so I'll just prefix it with underscore so that we don't get warnings. But in the next videos, we'll definitely make use of it. Okay, so next we have to initialize our board. So we'll use init method of the Embassy NRF crate. So we'll pass default configuration for this example, but you can definitely pass in custom config if you want. Okay, let's initialize the LEDs next. So first of all, we have to define these LEDs, these pins as output because these are LEDs, and we already saw the mapping between the XIAO board and the chip. So we have to define these accordingly. And one important thing to note here is that these LEDs on this particular board are active low, which means that if you want them to be off, you have to set them to be high. And if you want them to be on, you have to set them to low. So just an important thing to understand here. Okay, let's utilize that info macro we imported above. So this will be printed as the code executes. So this is really great for debugging. It's kind of similar to Arduino's serial monitor, but it's much faster than that. Okay, let's have an infinite loop in here because we want our LED pattern to basically run infinitely as long as the board is powered up. Okay, let's add another logging statement here. So this will be printed every time this loop restarts. All right, now let's turn on the red LED first. So this block of code turns on the red LED, and remember, because these LEDs are active low, so we have to set them to low to turn them on and set them to high to turn them off. So in this one, we are turning the red LED on and green and blue to be off. Okay, so next I'll paste in some code that can do similar thing for green and blue LEDs. And that's basically it. Our code is complete. I'll basically just go ahead and run it. So I'll use cargo run dash dash bin. So I have to use the bin flag because I've set up as a cargo workspace. So if I don't specify it, then I might get an error. So I'll just specify the package name and run it. So first it's gonna erase and then program, and then we see the pattern on our board. So we see red, green, blue, and then it prints the statement on the terminal, and then the loop starts all over again. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and also comment down below to let me know what else you want me to program using Embassy. I have a few sensors and also a few displays, so if you want to see that, you can comment down below and let me know. And I'll be pasting all these links in the description, including the link to the GitHub repository where the code is hosted. So if you want to check it out, you can just have a look at that.